Okay, so had some technical difficulties. Had to edit my video and now slice it off and make a secondary half. So we're going to be watching two videos. Anyway, so reference guide. So Introduction to Scratch is a new programming language, and we are going to go down and basically, so some of the basic ingredients of the Scratch project is that there's objects called sprites, and you can change the look of them by costume. So just to get the lingo of that, and you can also you have blocks that you can stack, and that can manipulate those sprites. Well, anyways, let's go down. So we are dealing with Scratch 2, but this is Scratch 1, so it's a little different. Over here on the side, we have block palettes. So in regular Scratch, you have 8. In Scratch 2, there's 10. And basically, these are different categories that you can choose, and by clicking on these, they open up and they give you all the blocks that you can choose from to program and create your coding. So over here we have our script area, and basically what you can do is you can drag and drop over to this area and then start clicking them together. And then over here you have your stage, and basically you can beta test or see exactly what your program does by over here in this window. And then we have sprite areas and sprite listings and so forth. This is the very important one up here, which is the green flag, which is the start of your script. And then you have, you can stop your script here or stop your program. So going down, I am going to show you how we have different things to choose from. We have, let's see, going down, we right about here. So we have different types of blocks, and we have stack blocks, and stack blocks basically have bumps on the bottom or notches on the top, such as this one right here, and you can snap these blocks together. And basically what happens is when you snap them together, it creates a step-by-step processes for your coding. And in that block, sometimes you'll see this little white area and it says move 10 steps. Well, you can change that by clicking on it. And if you change it, you can change it to like, oh, I want my sprite to move 500 steps or 2 steps or 3 steps. So you can manipulate that. The other thing is you could have a pull down menu, and those pull down menus like play sound here. Well, I have a little arrow right here. Can you see that? It's kind of small, but I have a little arrow, and if I click on that arrow, then a drop down menu will appear, and I can change that sound to pop, to a drum, to a whole bunch of things. The other thing is you might have stack blocks like this, which is like C-shaped shaped mouth blocks, and those are where you can put in other stack blocks, something like this, into there. So forever if something happens, an event, and forever is basically it will go into a loop. So those are the stack blocks. Then you have hat blocks, and these blocks have rounded tops, and also they're placed on the top of a stack. As you see, there's no notch, there's no bump or bubble or whatever you can lock into it. You can't stack it, but it can start a program. And what happens is usually it will wait for an event to happen. An event will basically be like this one, when spacebar key is pressed. So when the spacebar key is pressed, it will jump over to that program versus the program that you're in. And so it usually starts an existing. So your whole program could be categorized into sub-programs. And then you have reporter blocks. And I'm not going to get too much into reporter blocks because reporter blocks are basically different blocks that you can put inside a stack block. And if there's like a hole or a space that's blank, then you can put these in there. So let's scroll down, and I want to show you that there is motion blocks, and motion is just that, it's motion. And so you can move your sprite 10 steps. You can turn the degree of the sprite by 15 degrees, 45, 180, 640. Well, not 640 because a circle only goes in 360, Mrs. Breen, but you know, you get the drift. You can also have it point to a different direction, and you can have it change by its XY axis point. So if you don't remember math, we have our x-axis, we have our y-axis, and we have our z-axis, which is like diagonal. So moving down, we also have look blocks or look stacks, and that could switch the costume. It could make your character, your sprite, say hello. It could say it has a bubble thought like it's thinking. It could change the color. It could change the effects. Those are all looks. Moving down, we have sound. Now, sound is the one that we're going to be working with because it's going to play a sound, but I'm looking for this one. Play note 60 for half a second. Actually, in our case, in Scratch 2, it says beat. So we're looking for this one right here, which is play note. I'm not going to get into pen today. But I am going to get into control because control is the other one that we're looking for. So we're going to be using the when the green flag is clicked, we need to run a program when a button is pressed. So we're going to change this area, drop down arrow. So when this button is pressed or that button is pressed, then we are going to play a sound. Now in this category of control, we can wait a second, when sprite is clicked, forever, repeat, broadcast, a whole bunch of different things. There is other areas down here, sensing, that can kind of like in the same notion as robotics. And then numbers, those are those other blocks that you could fit into. And then we have variables. So let me show you, in order to find the Scratch program, and I'm gonna go off screen here, but you have to go down to your start bubble over here. You click on your start bubble, you go to all programs, you scroll through up at the top, Scratch 2. So I'm gonna open up Scratch 2. And I know my video keeps on cutting out, but I'm manipulating my computer, so Scratch 2. Let's see if we can get Scratch 2 to open. It's just being kind of slow here. There we go. There we go. Scratch 2. When this opens up, just say cancel. We're not going to update our version. So, as you can see, so I have my stage here. I have my sprites down here. I have my different categories, and I have my scripting area. So, what I want to do is I want to find events, and I'm going to do when the green flag is clicked. I want to also when the space bar is clicked. Now, I can either drag out 5 of these. Or I could right click and I could hit duplicate, and then I could click and right click and duplicate and click. Now we have that. So you can start in any way. We are going to be using 5 of them, as you see this 5, and we're going to be using, because we are going to be using the Makeys, and those Makeys go by the arrows and spacebar. So I'm going to start, let's see, up arrow. I'm going to start just from there. Up arrow, you can do it any way you want as long as you include all of these. Down arrow, right click, left arrow, and then space. So when I have this is events. Events, when this happens, something else is going to occur. So what's that other thing? Sound. We're going to go over here to sound. I'm going to go halfway down to where it says play note. So I'm going to click, I'm going to drop off and make sure that they're clicked in or it will not work. So I'm going to click in all of these. Now, play note right now. Okay, you're not going to hear this, but you can see that it turns yellow. We know by music class that we have a scale on a piano, and we will be working with a piano. So you can start with any F, G, A, wherever you want. Let me see. I'll just start with F. And that is note 53. I'm going to go up, so I'm going to go a scale. I'm going to go to 55. Then I'm going to go to 57, and then I'm going to go to 59, and then I'm going to stay at 60. So if I go through, it goes up an octave. Over here, the beats. Now, it's a half a beat. Music class. Okay, ready? Music 101. You have a beat. You have a half beat. Half a beat is half of a beat. So 0.5 is half. So I would keep it lower because I did have a student that manipulated this because you can change it, and she put like 98. Well, the problem with that is that if you were to choose 98, it's going to play that note, da, and then it's going to wait. 98 beats until it plays the next note. Now, in order for that to happen when something is clicked, so I'm going to play this. I'm going to beta test it. You're going to probably just see that it's yellow. I'm wearing a headset, so it's not going to really show you have the sound, but I could be wrong. So you can see that it turns yellow. Ready? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot when the flag is clicked. Ready? So did you see that turn yellow? That means that I was actually playing those notes. So, just to go back to our presentation. So what I want you to do is you are going to go to the start bubble. You're going to choose all programs. You're going to choose Scratch 2. And what I want you to do is the requirement for right now is there needs to be a piano note for each arrow up, arrow down, arrow right, arrow left, and space. And I just want to try it out today and see how it works for you. And then after you're done, beta test it. Make sure you run it in your program like I did here. And if you do have any spare time left, then go ahead and play. Next week, we are definitely going to be doing our programs and making our Makey pianos. I will see you later.